England win at Twickenham. The Calcutta Cup is back in the cupboard. But what to take from that performance? I mean, a win's a win, but there's a lot more to be said about it than that. Hello, amateurs. Welcome back to our Six Nations series. And I've got Phil with me again today to chat through all the good stuff. How you doing, Phil?
Yeah, good actually, Tim. What a game! What a game! Lots to pick apart from that one.
Yeah, super tense, super intriguing throughout. But what I want to know first off, let's think a bit bigger picture. What was your kind of general feeling as that full-time whistle went?
Relief, I think. Relief that England had got the win. I guess a bit of relief that my prediction didn't come true, that Scotland would win it with a late kick in the game. So Finn Russell missing. Generally relief. I thought how well Scotland attacked. I thought that bodes well for the Lions. If they can bring some of that attacking structure to the Lions with some of those players they've got. I felt really sorry for Finn Russell sitting on the Twickenham turf for a long time afterwards. But overall, from an England perspective, relief. Another classic game, the Calcutta Cup. It never fails to disappoint, does it, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it lacked a bit of flow, though, in my opinion. Plenty of tension, but lacked a bit of flow. There seemed to be quite a few errors. There were also quite a few. I'd love to know the stats on this, but it seemed to be a lot of penalties against the team with the ball or the team with the possession, and I think that stopped the flow a little bit as well. So there were some magical moments, mostly from Scotland, almost entirely from Scotland. But as overall, I think it did lack a little bit of flow. Yeah,
as a spectacle, it wasn't. You weren't on your edge of your seat the whole time, were you? I'm not sure if that was down to England's kicking. They seemed very cautious and very nervous and kicked away a lot of ball. I think, as we predicted, that England just didn't really feel like they had the attacking platform to play. So I thought Scotland, did really, really well, catching all those kickoffs and making breaks and always seemed to go back down the blind side. A real lack of flow, loads of penalties, particularly second half. I think Scotland will feel aggrieved, in particular about the one that Finn Smith kicked at the end, which ended up being the winning penalty. Was it a penalty? Was it not? Bernard was a great one in the first half, where Bernard, you just thought, he's got that. He was over the ball, and it went the other way for hands on the floor. So, it was a very, very stop-start game. Not a great deal of flow, but just enthralling, really. You can never take your eyes off it.
Yeah, and again, another part of that was, and you sort of briefly mentioned it there, was a lot of it was in the middle third, and neither team really wanted to play too much rugby in that middle third, especially England. And England never got that position, or rarely got a position in Scotland's 22 or towards the final third, because they were losing a lot of the aerial battles. They were losing a lot of the kicking battles, and something we looked at beforehand. They did get Kinghorn up against Marcus Smith in the air a number of times with crossfield bombs, and it bore fruit for them. So England really struggled to get any kind of a foothold in the game, multiple times. They got one for Freeman's try. They got one towards the end as well when they pressured quite well. But for that middle, like half an hour, 40 minutes, it was pretty it felt uninspiring to me. But then the other side of that is you look at it and go, actually, they were incredibly disciplined, because they figured out that that's the way to win the game, that they're only going to play if they get territory. And they stuck to that, even though I was kind of tearing my hair out a little bit about how stop-start it all was.
Yeah, when England scored at 7-5 up, I thought, geez, we've got a really, really exciting game on our hands now. And I thought England might take some confidence from that. Like, yeah, you've gone and scored down, but bang, we've come back, we scored again, multi-phase, played really some good rugby to get to that point. And then Ollie's, just towards the end of that first half, we kind of had those two line breaks, didn't we? And didn't quite finish them off. And then another one at the start of the second half. And, England just did go into it felt like they went into their shell a little bit, rather than, I was hoping that our score would really, really go, right, game on, we're in now. But the kicking in that middle third, like you said, very, very disciplined of them to keep on doing it. Did we get the right matchups that we got the previous week, where we got Freeman up against people on the angles? Probably not enough. Did we get enough attacking ball? We gave away a couple of penalties at lineouts. I thought Itoje for coming across and grabbing the jumper just when we were starting to get into the game, gave the Scots easy way out. But yeah, it was a frustrating game to watch. I mean, I really wanted to see England spring into life. Defensively, the outside third really worries me moving forward. I think anyone who's watching England now would be, attacking down there the whole time. I thought Finn Russell varied his attacking game, the width on his passing game, and how early he got it into Jones and those guys' hands was, made us look really, really, really vulnerable out there. So Italy will have watched that and think that they'll get some change out there.
Yeah, they definitely will, because Italy can play that way, or have done in previous seasons. Not so much this year. This is before the Italy-France game on the Sunday we're talking. So I'm hoping that they're going to go out and attack the French. And if they do, they might well be very confident coming into the England game the following week. Now, let's talk a bit more about the Scots, because this, obviously, the pair of us, both Englishmen and English supporters, we've been quite English-focused so far. But, man, when the Scots got opportunities, they are so lethal. Like, giving Duhan van der Merwe a bit of space, which England did for the first try. And there's two ways to look at this, right? You go, well, England gave him space to run, and he took it. What's he supposed to do? Of course he's going to take it if it's there. And if England had sort of narrowed up a little bit more, he might well have just broken back inside anyway, because he's that good a player. But yeah, they took the space. Duhan down the left-hand side, got the ball out of the tackle to Tom Jordan and back inside for Ben White to score another try against England. I think that's definitely his second, maybe more than that. But yeah, they look lethal again on Saturday, the Scots.
Yeah, they look really, really good. I thought Carl Rowe had a great game as well, coming in on the wing. I thought he was dynamic. He was powerful. The Scots, when they get it to the edge, they don't get tackled into touch either. They step off their wing, they come back inside, or they find another set of hands to somebody, coming on out to inline and really damaging England again. And England, were really challenging the outside third. As I said, the speed of the ball from White to Russell and then Russell to where the space was. And he didn't always go the same way. He kept coming back down the blind side. They thought they used their forwards really, really well to sort of punch up and really narrow England up a little bit when they got to multi-face as well. But yeah, the Scots look absolutely lethal.
Yeah, and there's a way of thought here in my head that maybe they should have played a little bit more as well, because they were so effective with the ball in hand and they caused England so much trouble that during that middle phase of the game where not a lot of rugby got played, I wonder if they will regret that and maybe think that they should have played a little bit more expansively as well.
Yeah, because they just look so dangerous. I mean, they've got such, as you said, such powerful runners. Kinghorn played well. The whole of the back three were excellent. And they had the possession and they had the territory. And if they had played a little bit more, would they have got a bit more change out of that outside channel and really tire that English pack out? So, but when they do play, geez, they're exciting to watch.
Yeah, really exciting, really exciting. Now back to England a little bit, and I think it's like plugging holes in a leaking ship at the moment for England. So every time they've got an issue, they fix it the next week, but another issue pops up. So England caught, I think, all their kickoffs, but then Mitchell kicked one of them directly out on the full. And when Randall came on, he kicked one basically straight up in the air. So they fixed one part of their exit strategy, but another part of it's completely broken. They fixed their line out. Their line out was supreme all day. Chesham, I think, got almost all the calls up until like the 70th minute or something like that. And he looked untouchable in the air. But then England couldn't launch anything off of that because I think, or very little, I should say, not nothing, because they weren't, those lineouts weren't right in the field position that they wanted them. They were all in the middle third, a lot of them, and they didn't launch off that too often.
No, they didn't. I mean, like you said, the lineout was fixed, was excellent. Really, really good lineout. Scrum, we got a lot of change out there. The scrum penalties and free kicks, which were excellent. Randall got charged down in the last, 5 minutes or so from a box kick as well. And we have got the ability with the back line. We've got Slade as a left-footed kicker. Smith, both Smiths can all kick. So sometimes I'd like to see us maybe, go to 10 and then shift the ball on the edge rather than kicking from 9 all the time, just to move that back three around a little bit. So I think maybe that's something that England can look at, And when we did launch, literally that last play just before half time where I thought we were going to score a try, And when we did get it right, we looked powerful, we looked dangerous, and Finn Smith took some good options in there. So yeah, I know it's like having coached for a long time, particularly with the youth game, is that you work on one thing one week and it's great at the weekend, but then they seem to have forgotten everything else they've done previously, and that's sort of what England feel like a little bit at times. Did we really get an attacking edge off a scrum? Did we come off a left-hand scrum 8-9 running, putting pressure on Finn Russell? We just didn't really do it. And great from Scotland, the creativity that they showed in their game to score that final try. They didn't do the same thing all the time. They always had little variations to everything they were running. And I'd like to see a bit more of that from England, really.
Yeah, there was very little of it. I mean, that kicking variation you're talking about is something that Ireland do really well with James Lowe. And this, like you say, was Slade in there with his great left foot, and Daly later in the game, another great left foot. There's no reason why England shouldn't have some real simple ploys there just to change the shape of what's happening. It all looks so samey at times with England. And that's when you're doing it the same, like it gets easier to defend because people know what's going to come. There was one thought that I had, though, like just thinking back to some of the great New Zealand teams, and quite often they played a lot of the game without the ball and they kicked the ball away a lot in the middle third. But when they got their chances, they scored every single time. So that example of England cutting through the midfield and then Lawrence chicken winning it into touch afterwards, that's the type of thing where New Zealand teams like that would have scored and they would have been ahead at half time. And Scotland in this instance would have been like, how on earth are we losing this game? But it happened all the time with those great Kiwi teams. South Africa would batter them, then New Zealand would get the ball and just score. So I'm really flipping backwards and forwards about how England should go forward approaching this game, because if they'd scored that, then they were in good shape going into the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would have given them a bit more confidence, and the penalties they got were never really in range to kick for points either. So, if they'd have gone 13-5 up, that gives them a little bit of a license to play a little bit more. But yeah, if that pass sticks, and then the one at the start of the second half sticks, and all of a sudden, it's game on, and England are cruising. But the Kiwis defended brilliantly all the time, and England don't defend brilliantly all the time. And we look really, really susceptible in the outside channel. When you see Ellis Genge and Luke Cowan-Dickie running across to try and catch Doing, as he's making an outside break, you're really worried. So I think England's spacing needs looking at from a defensive perspective. It seemed really narrow. And if we are going to come up and out and force them out, the communication, we just look so tight all the time. Sort of 10, 12, 13, we get really, really tight. And then the 7, are they pushing up and out? So, yeah, they seem to be sort of, just between two pathways in the defence. As I said, those Kiwi sides, they defended brilliantly. And those Kiwi sides you speak about, they used to kick more than any other team in international rugby. And everyone used to say they're the most exciting team in world rugby. So, there are two schools of thought. So I totally understand that, Tim. 2 wins in a row. We'd have taken that too.
We would have. Yeah, there's no question about that. And I think you're dead right about getting too tight in defence. The Hugh Jones try was exactly that. They ended up getting Duan on the outside when all the England defence had sort of bitten in and then were chasing back across. It looked for a second that Slade wasn't going to get back to make his tackle. So Freeman held a little bit, and that was just enough to get Duan on the outside. Marcus Smith over chased, and Hugh Jones was back on the inside. And I agree, that was just from being too tight initially and not reacting quick enough when the ball went out the back. What else for the Scots, though? Because I can't imagine the frustration that they will have. What else could they have done to win this game, aside from obviously kicking the conversions?
Well, I think they could have played a bit more. I think they could have definitely played a bit more. And when they were in England's 22, I don't remember them catching driving for the line once. But actually, when they did it outside the 22, their drive was really, really effective and they made yards. So they'll be disappointed with the amount of penalties they gave away in that second half. Was that England pressure? Was that them being soft at the breakdown, not interpreting the referee as they should have done? And they gave England a couple of really easy outs, scrums in England's 22, scrums on England's 5-metre line, where, we would win a penalty or a free kick and just find an easy way out. And, yeah, whilst they scored 3 brilliant tries and going away to Twickenham and scoring 3 tries is unbelievable. they probably, I think they should have played a bit more. Really chanced their arm. Because if they score 5 tries, there's no way that England win that game.
Yeah. I mean, I picked out Tom Jordan before the game as being quite a key individual, I thought, for the Scots, and I thought he went really well. Actually, he looks big and powerful, quick as well when he was off down the wing, and good hands, a great passer, and he looks smart and also aggressive. I mean, it's going to take some while for that to be, and he might not get the chance, obviously, with Tua Piloto coming back fit at some point. But he looks like he could fit into that role really well for the Scots.
Yeah, for sure. And Hugh Jones just continues to, be really, really effective in every game he plays. I'd like to have seen, Scotland chance their arm a little bit more. I think, Finn Rush was such a great reader of the game. He sees the space. He doesn't always pass the ball to space. Sometimes he kicks it there. So I'd like to have seen them go a little bit more. Tom Jordan, I think, if they could have got Carl Rowan off his wing a little bit as well, because he was causing damage left, right and centre. But yeah, Scotland are really good when they keep it tight as well. So I'd love to have seen them have a drive at England's line from a 5-metre line out or from a 10-metre line out if they'd have got the chance, because their maul was really effective.
Yeah, it was. Agree. One other player I want to pick out from England, Finn Smith in particular, his tackling, which was outstanding. He put in 3 or 4 really big shots and made a lot of tackles all day long. I think I saw a stat earlier that he actually made as many tackles as he made passes yesterday, or something very similar. And that tells you a little bit about how the game went in terms of England and their sort of tactics. Any other players, Phil, that you want to sort of pick out and have a word about?
Look, Marcus Smith and Finn Smith are 2 we talk about, quite a bit. I do think Finn Smith went really well. The composure to kick that penalty from a long way out, even though he's got Scottish parents. I read another stat, this morning that Scotland made 10 line breaks to England's 2, and that they carried for double the meters that England carried. So I don't know, what does that tell you? Mitchell is doing the job he's been told to do. And actually, I think Alex Mitchell, are we getting the best out of him? I think he's such a dangerous runner. He's got a great passing game. It seems to me that all we're asking him to do at the moment is kick the ball. So I'd like to see him, maybe lift the ball and be coming across the pitch and bringing those forwards onto the ball a little bit more, rather than just passing from the base or kicking from the base. And I think Ollie Chesham went really, really well in the second row. I thought he had a really, really good game. And Jamie George off the bench a little bit earlier again. I thought he brought some composure. So, England will be glad to have got the win, but they will be desperate to build on that performance and know they can do a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll bring this to a close now. People listening, if you want to sort of hear about my thoughts on a lot of the technical details, I did a post-match that went through kind of play-by-play a little bit. So some of the penalty decisions, maybe some of the decisions around tries or no tries. Go and look at that one in the feed. Actually, I'll link it for you up there so you can go and check that one out, because we talk broad strokes mostly in this one here, not in too much detail about specific moments. But let's have your comments down below and we'll join you there for a conversation. And give this video a thumbs up while you're down there. If you don't mind, it helps other people find it. Phil, thank you so much again for your time today. Always brilliant to chat rugby with you.
No worries at all. Take care, mate.
You too. And people at home, you can subscribe there. Watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.